All right, everyone. My name is Richard. I want to welcome you to the iLounge on Deck 6, and today we're going to be talking about airplane mode. As I said before, we've probably all seen the little thing that says airplane mode on our iPhones, on our iPads, on our Androids, on whatever we have, right? So we're going to talk about airplane mode. Do any of you know the purpose of airplane mode? To mute the voice? No.
Mute the signals.
Signals. Well, airplane mode was originally created for, who would have guessed? Airplanes. So airplane mode was created for airplanes many years ago, because when you went on airplanes, they said you can't have Wi-Fi, you can't have Bluetooth, you can't have this, you can't have that. It's going to make the plane crash. Very rarely do I put airplane mode on an airplane. But back in the day of airplane mode, if you understand airplane mode, you would turn on airplane mode. We're talking about on the original iPhone and on the iPhone 3G and even on the iPhone 3GS. You turn on airplane mode and your phone was a brick. Didn't do anything, complete brick. I didn't call it airplane mode. I actually called it Edward Snowden mode. You know, the guy who stole the secrets and needed to disappear and he went to Russia. So I call it Edward Snowden mode. But what airplane mode shuts off, let's talk about what it shuts off. It shuts off your Wi-Fi. Shuts off your Bluetooth. Shuts off your cellular data. If you take your iPhone and you put it on airplane mode, it is no longer an iPhone, it's an iPod Touch. Does that make sense? It's no longer an iPhone, it is essentially an iPod Touch. So it goes down. So you lose all of the communications functions of your device. And when airplane mode was originally around, okay, we lose all the communications functions of our device. You're like, okay, so we've lost all the communication functions of our device. What can we do now? Guess we can take some pictures and do some different things like that. But we've turned off all the communications functions. And then here's what happened. Bluetooth headphones started getting very popular. And Bluetooth speakers started getting very popular. And if you have an iPhone 7, pretty much the only way you can plug a headphone into the iPhone 7 is Bluetooth. So one of the first things that changed with airplane mode is when all of the planes and everybody started getting Bluetooth headphones, starting with the iPhone 4 and starting with the Samsung Galaxy S4, when you turned on airplane mode, it would turn off everything, but then you could go back and turn Bluetooth back on once you are on airplane mode. Then about a year and a half later, what do you think happened? What did they start installing in airplanes? Wi-Fi. So they had to make it so you could have airplane mode and have Wi-Fi on. Now, a big misnomer that everybody has is, okay, if I turn airplane mode on, I can't use Wi-Fi. Not true. Not true. Here's the secret to it. When you turn airplane mode on, it will automatically turn off the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on your device, notwithstanding whatever the device is. It could be an iPad, it could be an iPhone, it could even be a computer. To be completely honest, computers, Windows 10 computers, have airplane mode on them now. So they actually have a little airplane mode on it. It will turn off the Bluetooth as well as it will turn off the Wi-Fi. But you can go back in all of these devices and turn the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi back on. So here's the most important thing. How many of you called your phone carriers before you left home and said, I want to make sure I don't get any charges or anything like that? You've probably all done this before. Am I correct in that assumption? You call up and you say, I want to make sure I don't get any charges. And they say, well, what you got to do is you got to go into settings. You got to go into cellular. You got to go into cellular data. You got to make sure your roaming's on. You got to turn off your roaming for all your apps. You got to turn off the background app refresh. You've got to do all of those different things. Do you know why they tell you those things? To confuse you. When you leave your home country, if you do not have a calling package or a data package pre-set up, there is one thing your device should be on, which is airplane mode. So everyone's device in this room, unless you pre-set up a package with your phone company, should be on airplane mode. Now, I was chatting with some people before the class. You go, well, if you're on airplane mode, how do I talk to people? You know, when you're at home, you just pick up the phone, you make a phone call, you dial to whoever you're going to dial to. We agree with that. How do you talk to people? Now, think back a couple of years ago, you're on a cruise ship, you wanted to talk to somebody, you're on a cruise ship. What would you use to make that call to somebody if you just had Wi-Fi? Think back. Skype. How many of you have heard of Skype recently? Skype's kind of fallen off the face of the earth in recent years because Microsoft's taken Skype. You know, Microsoft bought Skype. Microsoft took Skype and made it more of a business type of product. what I think is interesting is in recent times you've had things like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Viber, all of these different apps like that have come out that allow you to call from device to device. Here's the problem with those apps though. If I wanted to call this gentleman right here on Viber, would he have to have Viber installed? If I wanted to call him on Facebook, would he have to have Facebook installed? What if I told you, and I told these two people right here before the class because they were here a little early, what if I told you that when you are in airplane mode, you can safely open up the phone application right here and make a phone call to someone using your normal phone number when you are in airplane mode. So you can open up the phone application on an iPhone or on an Android phone going back to the Galaxy S6. So any iPhone going back to the iPhone 6, so iPhone 6, iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, iPhone 7, and iPhone SE, you can actually, if you're out of the country, as long as you are connected to Wi-Fi. So as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, there's something very cool that you can do that all of the carriers in the U.S. have enabled. Now, I know some of you are from Canada, correct? Anybody from Canada? We're going to talk to the Canadians in a couple of seconds' time. But in the U.S., they have something called Wi-Fi calling, and it's something you can enable. And what you'll notice is we are in the middle of the ocean. There's an American phone company you've all heard of before called T-Mobile. Does T-Mobile have service in the middle of the ocean? Does T-Mobile likely have service in your house? Honestly, I love T-Mobile. It has free data roaming everywhere, but I can't get a cell signal in Miami. But that's a story for another time. But you notice what it says on my phone right there. It says T-Mobile Wi-Fi. So you can actually enable Wi-Fi calling directly on your device. And I want to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that on an iPhone. It's very, very cool. Now, I'm going to talk to the Canadians in a minute. Right now, this is only available on the American carriers. I will solve the Canadians' questions in just a couple seconds' time. To set up Wi-Fi calling, though, I know it's going to scare some of you, you have to jump off of airplane mode. So if you want some supervision, I can help you. I can supervise after we finish the course. And you're going to scroll down to where it says phone. And you need to make sure when you do this, you have an internet connection of some sort. So you scroll down to where it says phone, and you make sure you have an internet connection of some sort. I'm going to turn it sideways. And you'll see it says Wi-Fi calling. And for most of you, it will likely say off. So most people like to say off, but you see this says Wi-Fi calling on. If it says off, you click on it and you turn on Wi-Fi calling. This is why it's only available with the American carriers right now. Because when you turn on Wi-Fi calling, you have to give it the address that they would send the police to if you call 911 in an emergency. Does that make sense? So if I'm on a cruise ship and I dial 911, they're going to send the police to the house in Miami. So what they just did is they just entered in their home address, and that's saying if you were to dial 911 and they can't determine your location, where we send the police to. That is a requirement to do. The reason it's mainly only available in the United States, have any of you ever heard of something called TTY? Teletype. It allows people to text over the phone, people that can't see or can't hear. It allows them to text over the phone. What's interesting is they had to get an exemption, all the 4 American carriers, to do that. But once I enable Wi-Fi calling and put in my address, you'll see it says update my emergency address. I can update my emergency address if I change the address. I can also add Wi-Fi calling for other devices. So it allows other devices that are signed into my iCloud account. If I have an Apple device, I could take my iPad and I can make a Wi-Fi call from my iPad. I can make a Wi-Fi call from my iPhone. And people come to me all the time and they go, well, I need to call someone. How do I do it? I go, you just need to call them really quick one time. I go, you just go in and you do that. So all I have to do is I go to the little phone app right here, and if I wanted to, I could call my mom. I don't know if she's going to pick up. Let's see if mom wants to pick up. Miami. Now, I want you to realize I'm calling her phone right now. Hello, Mother.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Richard. Hi, class.
She knows it's the class. Because I only say hello, Mother, that way. But I'm calling her right now on her AT&T phone. I think she's out on a walk, walking the dog. I'm actually calling her on her AT&T phone.
Class.
My sister's saying hi too. Okay, I'm gonna let you go.
Sister.
You're Julie, my sister. I know, and I can hang up. But if I wanted to, I could institute a FaceTime call. I could do any of that. Bye. But I didn't call her Skype number. I didn't call her WhatsApp number. I didn't call anything. I called her normal phone number on the phone. Now, I'll take a look at that later. The cell phone carriers love this. You're going to say, well, why do they love this? Because if anytime you're in Wi-Fi, you're not using their towers, does it mean they need to have less towers? Yes, it means they need to have less towers. So what's interesting, and it's calling from your actual phone number. The hardware is on all the iPhones to do it. The Canadian cell providers and the UK cell providers have not rolled it out quite yet. But the hardware is inside of the devices to actually allow you to do that. Now that is coming from your actual number. So that's really cool. But if you are from a place that is not the United States, there is still another way to make calls when you're in airplane mode. And it's very cool. This way does require you to have a Google or Gmail account. I would prefer it's a Gmail account, but if you have a Google account set up, it's called Google Hangouts. On iPhones and iPads, it's called Hangouts. On Android phones, it's called Hangouts Dialer. And what's very cool about this app, a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, is you can take this app and you can call from anywhere in the world, any phone number in the US and Canada for free. Call any phone number in the US and Canada for free. And Orlando here calls his home country for how much? 19 cents per minute. Now, how much would that cost you with a real phone card? 50 cents a minute. So he does it for less than half the price. But you can call to the US and Canada for free. What's really cool. So it's called Google Hangouts. It is a free application you get from the App Store. The one thing you need to do it is a Gmail account. Yeah?
Why is 19 cents? Why is it free?
Why is it 19 cents? Why is it free? Because routing in the United States and Canada is something that's very easy to do, and Google's worked on that for a long time. They're paying an exchange operator to route in Honduras. Does that make sense? Nicaragua, I'm sorry. To route in Nicaragua, they're paying an exchange operator, so there's an intermediary. In the US and Canada, Google is dealing with it on their own. Does that make sense there? So you can call...
So basically, for the US, it's free, but outside that, it's 19 cents.
Yes. Well, there's different rates depending on where you are. So 19 cents. Do you have another country that you call? Any idea? Honduras. Honduras is 19 cents. So a lot of Central America is 19 cents or so. 5 cents to Panama, because Panama has a lot of U.S. interconnects there because of the Panama Canal, just to give you an idea there. So it'll give you different variables when you place the call, but you can just go in, you can dial a call, and the whole time I'm doing this, guess what I'm still on? Airplane mode. Well, I'm on airplane mode, so I can be on airplane mode while I am doing this. So it's very cool. Yeah?
I'm on Hangouts and it says turn off airplane mode.
Aha, because you don't have internet. So you need an internet of some sort. So so your device has a cellular chip on your iPad, so you either need to turn on airplane mode or you go back and turn on Wi-Fi, and when you're connected to Wi-Fi, Hangouts will allow you to do that.
Okay, so if we buy the day...
If you have a day package on the ship, you can use it on the ship, you can use it, you can use it in port, and it will allow you to make a phone call. So my goal is to educate you all right now. I'm just going to educate you on the fact that, yes, you can. It does work perfectly fine on the ship. I just made a call to my mom with the Wi-Fi calling. I'm not going to call my mom twice in one night because then she says I'm too needy. But, but I can go in.
So if this works, I don't need WhatsApp.
You don't need WhatsApp, and you can call real phone numbers. So that's really quite an interesting thing. And what's interesting, where we're going further, I want to show you a couple more things about airplane mode, but the next evolution of this is even more interesting, because here's the thing. If you can make a call to anyone when you have Wi-Fi, and the points in time when you have Wi-Fi are coming more and more, eventually you're going to get to the point that you're going to go, why am I paying Verizon $90 a month for my phone? And that's where we're going to talk about Facebook Messenger the next time we meet. But I want to show you some somewhat more interesting things when it comes to Bluetooth. Now, we've talked about Wi-Fi, but we haven't really talked about Bluetooth. Now, if you look at my iPhone, I have the iPhone 7. And my iPhone 7 is a beautiful device, except it lacks one thing that a lot of you are very used to having on a phone. It's called the headphone jack. We've all heard of headphone jacks before. Well, the iPhone 7 doesn't have a headphone jack if you have an iPhone 7. Nor will likely future iPads, nor will future iPhones or anything like that. And the reason is because most people, I have not used a normal headphone in years. People think I'm weird when I use my Bluetooth headphones, but I have all kinds of different Bluetooth headphones. Now, if any of you ever used a pair of Bluetooth headphones before or a Bluetooth speaker before, because I think this is interesting when you talk about airplane mode. So I have the giant speaker. This is called the JBL Extreme. I'm taping, so I'm not going to use the real name that I use for it. This is called the JBL Extreme, but what's cool is if I turn this guy on, I have to take him I have to put them in pairing mode. Have you all done something with Bluetooth before? You take it, you put it in pairing mode, you go into settings, you dig into settings, you go to Bluetooth, you go everywhere like that, and then you have to dig, you have to find it. Here it is, and I've connected, and that's wasted 30 seconds of my life to do that. So here's where things start to get very, 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 very interesting. Imagine for a second if Apple were to have actually solved the problem with Bluetooth. I think this is an interesting one. So I want to show you a really cool gadget that I'm wearing around my neck called the Beatsx. These are really cool. Now they use the same technology. Some of you have probably seen this before. I'll talk about these separately. These are really quite interesting. But these are called the Beatsx, and what they are is these are the iPhones that are made for, these are the headphones that are made for the iPhone. And I have them hidden right here. So I have them right around the neck. And they charge with a lightning connector. So you have the lightning connector right there that you charge. But here's the thing. Instead of fumbling with Bluetooth and everything like that, all I do is turn them on. And in a few seconds, boom. If I hit connect, it's going to go off the screen. But it's connected. No need to go to settings. No need to go to general. She's got my she's got my headphones on there too. But I can go in, I can hit that, and I go boom. Here's the cool thing. If you have more than one Apple device, the second you pair it with this, it pairs with iCloud. And these will work automatically with your iPhone, with your iPad, with your Mac, with anything like that, which is what's really quite cool. So even when you're on airplane mode, you can not only pair your headphones with there, yeah.
I'm just following.
So what this uses is a brand new type of chip called the W1 chip. It has a longer range and everything like that. It's very cool. These are called the Beatsx headphones. Now they make a bunch of other ones. Now Apple, a lot of people don't know, actually own Beats. So Apple bought Beats a couple years ago, and they actually own Beats, and these are called the Beatsx. This is my favorite little pair of headphones. Why this is my favorite pair of headphones is they actually come in the box with a free $30 iTunes card. So you can try out Apple Music for 3 months, or you can use those $30 for anything you want. So I bought 4 pairs of these headphones, one for my mom, and one for me, and one for my 2 sisters. And we wound up with $120 in iTunes credit, and I renewed our Netflix for the next year. So Apple paid for my Netflix renewal, if that makes sense. The headphones are $149, but it's actually quite interesting because usually the Beats have a much higher price point than this. They're usually a lot. But what's nice is you can charge them with your iPhone charger. So you charge them with the lightning cable. And they're really quite cool. They're called the Beatsx. I only like to show these because, number one, I always wear them underneath my uniform. It's like if I want to listen to something, I just clip it right there. And if anybody asks me why I'm wearing it, I go, oh, because we sell them on board. But it's actually really cool. We just got them in. They just became available for international sale. I actually just broke down, just for 2 seconds, I'll show you something I probably shouldn't show you. I just broke down the pallet with all the new Apple stuff inside of it. There's me on the top of the pallet. That was taken. No, I'm wearing a hat. I took this at 623. But it's really, really quite cool. Now, there's a much more extreme version of that I'll show you that goes a little bit further because this is headphones with no wires. These are still pretty hard to get. These are called the AirPods. But these use a combination of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and will work perfectly fine in airplane mode. And here's what's cool. When I pop it open, you'll see it show up here. Come on. Come on. And it's going to show you the battery life of the left AirPod, the right AirPod, and the case. And what's cool is these, unlike the Beats, they don't have a wire on them at all. So you look like a space alien. You look like a space alien. And I've got it like this, and people always ask me the question you're going to ask me. Do they fall out? That's the answer. No, they don't fall out. And the other really cool thing about the W1 headphones is if you scroll over, you will actually see the battery percentage on your iPhone or iPad of all of your Bluetooth devices. So I can see my watch is at 57%, my AirPods are at 100%, my iPhone is at 54%, and I can get all of that, and I can even control my AirPods, all of these. If you happen to have an Apple Watch, I don't know if anybody happens to have one of those, I do, because I'm a nerd, but if you happen to have an Apple Watch, what's cool is you can actually go ahead and you can see all of your information from your Apple Watch as well on the headphones and all of those sorts of things. Now, this was sort of a teaser for what we have coming up later in the cruise. I'm going to let you know, and then I'll take some questions. Starting on the second sea day, tomorrow is the first sea day, so the second sea day is after Bermuda. We're going to be in the main theater at 10:15 every single day. So we're going to be in the main theater at 10:15 every single day of the crossing. I think we're going to miss the last sea day, but we're going to make that up on Lisbon before we get to Lisbon. So every single day at 10:15. And we're going to talk about Google Photos. We're going to talk about Gmail. We're going to talk about taking pictures with your iPhone or iPad. We're going to talk about all of those different things, which is what's really cool. And I'm glad you found this early because we kind of hid this, because the real honest truth is I'm going to probably be able to get away with doing these classes in here in the evenings twice before we have a fire hazard. So we're going to do it once more, and then we're going to have to do everything else in the theater. But the next time we meet up in here is going to be Bermuda Night 2. And we're going to be talking about, I know a lot of us have the text messaging app, and you might have the phone app, and you might have the FaceTime app, and you might have all of those different apps. If you want to send someone a picture, you go to the messaging app, you send it. You want to call them, you go to the phone app, you send it. You know what's really cool? There's actually one app that does 5 apps together. It's called Facebook Messenger. So we're going to have a whole class on Facebook Messenger. And the word Facebook might scare off some of you. It's not Facebook. It's Facebook Messenger. They're two completely different products. You don't need to have a profile. You don't need to say all that. But Facebook Messenger, we're going to go over. You can send pictures. You can send video. You can make phone calls. You can do text chats. You can do all of that. And that's what's going to eventually circumvent the carriers. So I want to see if anybody has any questions about airplane mode. It all make pretty good sense. Now I'm happy. I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes. If you want to try and set up the Wi-Fi calling, I'm happy to help you out. Any other questions about airplane mode? Yeah, she got a question.
Can you just talk a little bit more about airplane mode? Because I've left the country.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing different carriers.
So here's the thing. She asked a good question. You keep seeing different carriers show up. If you have Verizon and it doesn't say Verizon, let's just say you're paying for roaming. Or if you have Bell or Shaw or Telus and it doesn't say Bell or Shaw or Telus, you're paying for roaming. Do any of you see, this is a good question, not only the carriers, do any of you ever see it say no service on the top of your phone? That is draining your battery life more than anything else. If it ever says no service, you notice that your battery goes away really, really quickly on your phone? It's because it juices up the power in the phone to try and get service somewhere. So it's like, I need more service, I need more service, I need more service. It's juicing up the service to get more service. So if you ever see no service, what's the right answer? Airplane mode. For me, personally, this is the advice I'm going to give you. Whenever I leave my home country, I put my phone on airplane mode. If my iPad, like this gentleman's iPad, I think, does your iPad have cellular on it as well? It doesn't. Okay, so it wants you to disable airplane mode because you didn't have Wi-Fi on. If you have an iPad that has cellular, I recommend that you put it on airplane mode. Now, if you've already set up a roaming agreement with your phone carrier or something like that, that's a different story. But most of us have not done that, am I correct? Use airplane mode, use Wi-Fi, and you'll never get roaming charges. That's the secret I like to tell people. So here's the secret to airplane mode in my personal opinion. If there are ropes down on the side of the ship, like if it's tied somewhere, you can be off airplane mode because and you have a coverage from the local provider. If the ship's out at sea and you don't have something pre-set up, jump in airplane mode. I will tell you one time, we sailed out. It was on this ship last year. Out of Miami, wasn't on airplane mode. Honest truth, $430 phone bill for Facebook updating in the background when I was on cellular data roaming. So, go ahead.
So you can put cellular data off and you can put roaming off, and will it still?
It will still look for the different carriers. Your phone, I want to make very clear, your phone is only extremely happy when it has signal from its home provider that the SIM card is in there. If it has signal from a roaming carrier, it's actually using significantly more data. And if it has no service, it's using incredibly more data. That's even more than significantly, to give you an idea there. So, airplane mode. Oh, we got a question back. Yeah.
We were a little bit late coming, so if this is repaired,
It's okay. No.
we'll do it later. On the Wi-Fi,
Uh-huh.
on the settings page, with that airplane mode on,
Uh-huh.
Wi-Fi off,
You can go back and turn Wi-Fi back on.
and isn't that using minutes on celebrities?
Yes, but you would need to log into that. So you would need to log in. The physical Wi-Fi can be on. Your physical Wi-Fi can stay on the entire cruise if you want. It'll just connect to celebrity Wi-Fi. It doesn't start counting minutes until you go to login.com and you log in.
I wondered about that.
Cool. That's it for tonight. I will see you around. I'll stick around for a few minutes if you have any questions. We will see you back on the Bermuda Day 2 at 8 o'clock in here. We're going to shoot something about 7:50 as well, right before the 8 o'clock class, which goes just online. And I will see you all in the theater on the second C Day. That's after Bermuda at 10:15. And for the rest of the cruise, we got 5 classes in the theater, as well as some other classes in here that I'll talk about in the theater. That's it for today. Bye!